Hello, and welcome to another fantastically fun edition of Power Rangers Off-Season Reviews. Now, the first thing you might notice is that the channel is sporting a new name. Yes, this is the first video that I am officially uploading as Orange Ranger Videos. This is a branding that I hope to extend into social media like Facebook and Twitter, giving you guys more ways to follow and communicate with me. This week, we're taking a look at those episodes where one team of Rangers just wasn't enough. They needed to call in help from the previous team, usually to take on an enemy that the previous team fought. Yes, it's the Team Up episode, and we are selecting the top 10. Now, unlike some of the other top 10 videos, in this video you are going to hear about every candidate, because sadly there have only been about 13 or so Team Up episodes. So the ones that don't make the top 10 are going to be honorable mention by default, even though clearly some of them were better than others. This will probably come as no surprise to a lot of people, but of the 3 that didn't make the cut, 2 of them come from the Neo-Saban or Saban brands era, Clash of the Red Rangers and Legendary Battle. And funny enough, one of those involves just one returning Ranger, and the other involves all of them returning. I, of course, very recently reviewed Legendary Battle as part of Super Mega Force, and I thought there were some good bits. The guest star Rangers looked good and rescued people outside of using their powers. I also thought the Corona Astronema nod during the extended cut was a very nice addition. However, the crux of a team-up episode is the big battle at the end, and this one just falls short. First of all, it's pretty much all Sentai footage when other team-ups have used original footage before. Also, it is criminally short, especially seeing as it was hyped up for 2 full seasons. The third episode not to make the cut, Once a Ranger, failed as an episode, but it's a unique failure. The returning Rangers, a team consisting of Adam from Mighty Morphin and a representative of each of the 4 Disney seasons to that point, worked well together as a team, they were all well characterized, and it was just really good to have them all back. Oddly, it was the failure of the current team, the Overdrive Rangers, that really dragged the episode down. They just completely quit when they lose their powers. They don't even really stay friends, they just kind of scatter back to their regular lives. Even when they get back together to try to get the Sentinel Sword, they almost quit on that, too. They get a glorious return to power in the episode's final battle scene, but they did nothing to earn that. It was Alpha that got them their powers back. The episode was just really bad, and it's the only team-up episode in the show's history that made me wish the show was actually about the other team. Clash of the Red Rangers, the other Saban II team-up, is a much better episode and really gets the true honorable mention here. The story works well in both of the show's universes. We get an official explanation of how RPM exists in the Power Rangers canon. It's an alternate dimension. And Scott and Jaden play off each other very well. And hey, when the show went from Saban to Disney, they didn't even bother with the union issues involved in a team-up. So Saban Brands gets credit just for trying. However, those very union issues really limited this episode. Scott is the only RPM Ranger to show up, and even he has to stay morphed the entire time. In story, he says something about not being sure that he can breathe their air, but really it's that the RPM actors were union actors. The Walt Disney Company only hires union workers, a principle surviving from Walt Disney himself, and Saban Brands doesn't use union actors. However, they may have worked an end around. The actor credited for doing the voice work for Ranger Red is Tobias Rice, an actor with absolutely no other credits to his name. And he sounds so much like Scott that it's believed that Ika Darville adopted a stage name and did the voice work himself under the table. But overall, only having Scott in the episode and having the other RPM Rangers input being limited to "they say hi" really held this episode back. Alright, looks like we're ready to leap in, so let's get ranking these 10 episodes. Number 10, Trakeena's Revenge. This episode had a lot of flaws, so let me start off with one thing that I really liked. Most team-up episodes finales don't involve the Megazords because they're either original footage, or it would just be too complicated to involve the team's Megazords together. So it was a really nice touch in this episode to not only see the Galaxy Rangers enter the Lightspeed Rangers Megazord, but to enhance it with their power-up, the Lights of Orion. Alright, now on to the bad. This episode does a very bad job of characterization. The Rangers, both teams really, are relegated to background status in their own show. The story focuses on a little girl and her relationship with Carter. The Galaxy Rangers are barely even in this episode, and everything wraps up really quick. In fact, the Galaxy Rangers got such a little amount of screen time that even their actors were upset by it. Amy Miller showed up for filming, took one look at the script, and left before filming because she was upset about the low amount of screen time. This required a stand-in for Trakina, Jennifer Burns, by the way. Danny Slavin, who played Leo, was also upset by the low amount of screen time, but he did at least get his first unit work in. However, the slight led to him almost deciding not to be in Forever Red. See, the Lost Galaxy Rangers were promised a return movie in their contracts, and this is what they got. Yeah, I'd be upset too. Honestly, this episode's position on the list is really more about what's below it than its own quality. It scrapes its way onto the list at number 10.
Number 9. True Blue to the rescue.
So yes, I am counting episodes where only one Ranger returned to team up, though it's not like they had much of a choice in this case. Justin, the Blue Turbo Ranger, is the only Ranger that didn't become a Space Ranger, so it's not like they had a lot of options. One thing I really like about True Blue is that it ties up a dangling thread from the previous season, Storm Blaster and Lightning Cruiser. The two cars that assisted the Turbo Rangers were captured during Chase into Space, but we hadn't seen what had become of them. Divatox was using them to haul cargo when Storm Blaster escaped. It seeks the aid of the Space Rangers first, but when they're captured, it goes to Justin, and even provides him a Turbo Morpher. It's believed that the power is tied into Storm Blaster's own power, since the Turbo powers were presumed to be destroyed. He frees the Space Rangers, they beat a monster, and then they go and free Lightning Cruiser, which has a reunion moment of its own with TJ. The best part of this episode is the characterization of Justin. He really grows some depth as we see him missing the Rangers and wishing that he was able to help them. He goes from someone that was slightly annoying during Turbo to someone you actually kind of miss. Justin hopped in Storm Blaster and drove this episode right up to number 9.
Number 8. History and Wormhole.
So yes, I have decided to consider History and Wormhole one team-up episode instead of two. I have two reasons for that. The first is so that I don't have to decide which of the two is better, which is kind of complicated. The second is that I actually like how when you put them together, it pays homage to the team by placing the episode in both time periods. I really like how that connects them as one episode. History is primarily set in the SPD era. Broodwing brings the three main Rangers into the future from their one-year high school reunion, and plans to use them to destroy SPD and take over the world. I'm not sure why he thought that they would just help him when they were Power Rangers, Defenders of Justice, but knowing Broodwing, maybe he was just thinking that everybody has their price. For most of the episode, the three Dino Thunder Rangers are kind of kept out of harm's way, which prevents too much interaction between the two teams, but it does give them a nice heroic moment as they run in to help counter Grum's invasion force. Wormhole, on the other hand, mainly takes place in the Dino Thunder era, which means it happens before History in the Dino Thunder timeline, but after History in the SPD timeline. Yay, time travel! Grum locates a temporal wormhole and goes back to take over Earth during the Dino Thunder era. We do get the two full teams teaming up in this episode, though apparently it takes place while Tommy was stuck in his morphed form, if you follow me. However, the two teams play off each other well, and getting one episode in each era gives us the rare, if not unique, opportunity of seeing the team up from each team's point of view. However, in History, we just didn't see enough of the Dino Rangers, and in Wormhole, we got that super cheesy, nobody gets inside our circle thing. But together, the two episodes are good enough for number 8.
Number 7. Always a Chance.
Always a Chance is a bit unique as a team-up episode because it's not a team-up of two Ranger teams, or even one Ranger teaming up with a Ranger team, but a team-up between two individual Rangers. Adam, returning as the Black Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, despite having been Green Zeo and Green Turbo since then, really only interacts with Carlos and none of the other Rangers. This does kind of make sense, as Carlos was the Ranger who replaced Adam on the Turbo team, and so the two had that direct connection. Carlos's confidence is shaken when a monster that can change positions causes him to accidentally injure Cassie. Adam hears about this, somehow, and offers to help train Carlos to get his confidence back. But the training and blind fighting don't help, and Carlos quits being the Black Space Ranger. When the monster attacks again and Carlos has given up his powers, Adam uses his damaged Mastodon coin to morph into the Black Mighty Morphin Power Ranger once again. His powers hold out just long enough for Carlos to wake up out of his funk, and he becomes the Black Space Ranger once again. All in all, I like team-up episodes that actually work into the story of the season that they're in, and this was a great character development episode for Carlos. Adam makes a great return, and it was a nice catch for him to use the Mastodon coins since those coins were still around, unlike the Ninja coins. It loses a little something in the lack of interaction with the whole team, but all in all, it's a pretty good episode. I mean, it is number 7 after all.
Number 6, Time for Lightspeed.
In most of these lists, I've taken a moment to point out where things get really good. This is where things get really good. This is a very strong team-up episode. It's just that I think the 5 above it are better. The top 5 has some really strong episodes in it. Though what holds this team-up episode back is really its premise, and mainly the reason for its villains to be teaming up. Vipra rises from the grave, even though she had been absorbed by Queen Banshira. She needs to steal a solar amulet in order to raise a super demon. She easily breaks into the museum that has the amulet, and is able to walk through the Silver Guardians when she leaves. So why does she need Ransik? Because the amulet is behind glass. And even though she can reach through the glass, she can't pull the amulet back through. Just break the glass? But all in all, this was a really good episode. The two teams worked well together and played off each other quite well. They spent just the right amount of time showing us where the Lightspeed Rangers had been in their lives, and the two teams have a nice scene together afterwards. It was kind of just a, hey, we fought her, so let's help them out team up. But it did what it needed to well enough to be number 6.
Number 5, Rangers of Two Worlds.
I had to include the first team up between two Ranger teams, if for no other reason to acknowledge the impact it had at the time. Ranger teams teaming up is one of those things that you didn't even think about, primarily because the Rangers had been the same people up until Alien. Wait just a second, your childhood brain said. You're telling me that we could have 2 teams of Power Rangers fighting together? While this episode does get those in the story points, it's a bit too far in the other direction. The team-up portions of this episode are kind of token. The Alien Rangers are only on Earth to help out an aged Billy, and this episode serves as the character's farewell, by the way. So they just so happen to be there to help out with the battle. But it was just so awesome to see 2 Ranger teams in battle at the same time that it warrants a spot on the list at number 5.
Number 4, Thunderstorm.
Thunderstorm took the team-up episode in a unique direction. What would happen if the 2 Ranger teams started out fighting against each other? Thus, Lothor returns from the Abyss of Evil and tricks the 3 core Ninja Storm Rangers into using evil discs that make them, well, evil. They help Lothor recapture the ninja students and then take on the Dino Thunder Rangers. They handle the fight the first time around, which makes sense, seeing as the Ninja Storm Rangers were trained ninja students, and the Dino Thunder Rangers were high schoolers who didn't even like training. However, the fight is much more even the second time around, a really great superhero throwdown that featured a lot, basically all, unmorphed original footage. However, the Ninja Storm Rangers are only stopped by the other 3 members of their own team, who trick them into using their real discs, undoing the spell. It kind of downplays the abilities of the Dino Rangers, but the teams work well together, and their final battle is epic. One funny note for this episode, though, it has one of the most complicated morphing call sequences ever. The Ninja Storm Rangers used 3 different phrases, and Dino Thunder's White Ranger used a different phrase. Dino Thunder, power up! White Ranger, Dino Power. Ninja Storm, Ranger Form. Thunderstorm, Ranger Form. Samurai Storm, Ranger Form. Ha! 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 Thunderstorm, Ranger 4.
Number 3 to the 10th power.
Uh-oh, this is gonna get me some backlash. First of all, you're probably wondering why, if I consider History and Wormhole to be one team-up, I'm not including the Power of Pink with this episode. The first reason is that the Power of Pink kind of feels like Always a Chance to me. While the two teams are teamed up, the focus is primarily on Cassie and Kendrix. And second of all, while To the 10th Power was clearly intended to be the team-up episode, the Power of Pink feels more like a necessary tack-on, allowing Valerie Vernon to leave for her thankfully successful cancer treatments. But there's no denying that this is a great team-up episode. They bring it along slowly. First, it's just Andros, and you get the feeling it might just be him. Then we see the other 4 morphers get grabbed, but there's no telling who might have them. And finally, the other 4 Space Rangers come out to enter the final battle. No clue why Zane didn't come along, though. And a glorious final battle it is. It's just excellent, showing that these two teams working together are nearly unbeatable, as they even take down the Psycho Rangers. You know one tiny little detail I wish they would have addressed, though? The Psycho Rangers were obsessed with taking out their color counterparts. But Lost Galaxy didn't have a Black Ranger, it had a Green Ranger. Psycho Black should have been confused, disoriented, or just uncaring. Wake me up when they get a Black Ranger. I suppose he could have wanted to go after the Magna Defender, though. To the 10th Power rises to the 3rd Power. Alright kids, you know the drill. It's recap time.
I hope Trakina doesn't take revenge on me. Number 10. Don't feel blue, Justin. True Blue to the rescue is number 9. 2 episodes, 1 spot on the list. History and Wormhole at number 8. There was always a chance for this episode to make the list at number 7. It's not just time for Lightspeed, but time for number 6. Rangers of Two Worlds, episode in 1 spot, number 5. Thunderstorm, Ranger 4, To the 10th Power is to the number 3 position.
The final 2 put me in an interesting position. One of the episodes is considered really the best straight traditional team-up episode the show's ever had. The other is an anniversary episode where multiple single Rangers team up with each other. But only one of them can be number 1. And it's not...
Number 2, Reinforcements from the Future.
Seriously though, this is practically 1A and 1B. Reinforcements is an amazing team-up. The thing it really does the best is that it advances both storylines. Oftentimes in team-ups, we focus really on the current story, just getting token updates on what happened to the past Rangers. But Reinforcements gives us a really amazing look at what had happened to the Time Force characters, especially Ransik. Perhaps getting leniency for surrendering, he was not cryogenically frozen, instead just simply jailed. Nadira was fully redeemed, becoming either a teacher or running a daycare center. This built on her redemption being kickstarted by babies and children. She was recommended for the position by Lucas, building on their... Well, relationship might be too strong of a word, seeing as it started based on a misunderstanding. Jen went into Special Ops wearing what might be the sexiest unmorphed Ranger outfit ever. Whew! She tracked 3 mute orgs, mixtures of mutants and orgs, to the year 2002. They were orgs gaining mutant DNA from Ransik, who they encountered before Time Force's Future Time takes place, and in exchange giving him the ability to create bone swords. Having helped create them gives Ransik's character a chance for full redemption. The other Time Force Rangers bring him back to the year 2002, and it's Cole's ability to hear the heart that convinces Jen to trust him. These two teams work excellently together, and this is almost a threefold team-up, as Ransik seemingly sacrifices himself to save Nadira, destroying their mutant halves. However, after a seriously amazing team-up fight destroying the monsters, we learned that destroying their mutant halves also destroyed Rancic's mutant half, so to speak, purifying him to fully human. It's a fitting reward for his character arc. The episode's capped off with a very nice, fun picnic scene where we see the teams interacting very nicely in various aspects of their characters. However, there's one tiny aspect to this episode that bothers me a little bit. The mute orcs speak in backwards talk, making them sound strange and alien. However, when you reverse their lines, returning them to standard speech, it's the monster's actual dialogue. Lines like, "We need to combine our powers," and "Get them."
I want you two to be more careful. We cannot afford any mistakes. Come on.
I'm just not sure why the writers would give the monsters actual dialogue and then render it completely ununderstandable. Just something for the hobbyists to do, I guess.
Number 1. Forever Red.
Power Rangers has had 3 anniversary specials. Forever Red for the 10th anniversary, Once a Ranger for the 15th anniversary, and Legendary Battle for the 20th anniversary. It's just astounding that they got the latter 2 so wrong when they got Forever Red so right. And that was despite a lot of challenges. Disney interfered in a big way. They cut the episode down from 2 episodes to 1, saying that they'd already paid for a team-up special. While that's indeed true, come on, it's an anniversary special! Also, they flat out refused to hire outside the company for any of the CGI, so nothing that was done with computer graphics looked quite right. This ended up scrapping a huge Megazord throwdown with Serpentera, and even that evil Zord didn't look quite right. And finally, they ended up needing Bandai to provide some money for the episode. They did, but they only agreed to it if they featured their newest toy, the Wild Force Rider, in a key position in the episode. That's why Cole takes down a Zord that once destroyed a planet with a motorcycle. And I also mentioned Danny Slavin almost not doing this. He was so upset about what happened during Trakeena's Revenge that it took him a really long time to decide whether or not to come back for Forever Red. They actually filmed the entire episode without him. And then he decided to come back and they added him in post. As a matter of fact, in one sequence after he demorphed, you clearly see his morph suit in the shot. But none of that really held the episode back because it was just epic! Tommy gathers a team of 10 Red Rangers to take on the remnants of the Machine Empire who were looking for Serpentera. Since Wild Force was only the 9th team since Mighty Morphin Power Rangers got 2.5 seasons, Time Force got the Red Ranger and the Quantum Ranger who just happened to be red in color. It ties the early history of the show together into one universe, has excellent unmorphed fights, and an amazing morphed fight. And as Linkara pointed out, it was really cool to see the older suits like MMPR Red doing wire work and looking even more awesome. Yeah, it has a bad ending, and there was potential for the episode to be even greater, but its epic level was just already off the charts. Forever Red is number 1. Maybe not forever, but at least for right now. Alright, so let's see if the Ranger family agrees with the Orange Ranger.
We actually had interesting results for the viewer's choice. We had a clear winner, but more people actually voted for something else. 6 people voted for an episode besides the winner, but 4 out of 10 voted for Forever Red. Thanks for voting.
And this week's winner of the channel shoutout is Scott Sandler. He seems to go by the handle Welshie, and he does movie reviews and vlogs, and the videos look pretty neat, so check him out. Thanks for voting, everyone. Next week's vote is the easiest one yet, as you literally only have 2 choices. I will be diving into a contest for futility, a fight for putridness, a battle for the bottom. I will be comparing the 2 seasons seen as worst by the majority of Power Rangers fans, Super Megaforce and Operation Overdrive, and deciding which I think is the worst, with the prize of the Corona Ugg Stinka. So this week, I simply need you to tell me which of those 2 seasons you think is the worst. Thank you so much for watching yet another Power Rangers off-season reviews video. I really do appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to click that like button right down below the video to let me know that you enjoyed the video. If you really like it, make sure you subscribe so you get notified whenever my Power Rangers videos come out. And leave some comments down below. Let me know what you thought of my list of top 10 team-up episodes. And also make sure to get in your vote for whether you think Super Mega Force or Operation Overdrive was the worst season of Power Rangers. I really appreciate you guys watching one more time, and until next time, may the power protect you. Alright, so I was talking to Claire in Briarwood the other day, and she taught me just a little bit of magic, and I thought I would show this off for you guys. Alright, so I have to remember how this incantation goes. Okay. Alright, I'm ready. Here we go. It honors a team that plays with a bat. Turn me into a Marlin's hat! Ta-da! Wait a minute. How do I change back?